Hi, Tea Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we're getting into ATEEZ Golden Hour Part 3, and I'm scared. I'm gonna be so honest with you because I feel like I was lulled into a false sense of security looking at their early days stuff, right? KQ fellas, just them being cutie pies and like gung-ho for this whole being idols thing. And then I watched Lemon Drop, and I just feel like I am not built to deal with the difference between those two ends of the spectrum, right? So I'm scared, especially since the first song that we're going to be checking out is Masterpiece, which is the one that people have warned me about specifically because of Mingy. And I feel like I can already sense the danger. So we're going to do it anyway, but I'm already panicking. So that can only lead to good things. Like, it's probably not even that bad, right? Like, it's probably whatever. I would like to stay in denial. Thank you. Just want to put it in here before we get into the songs that I have not heard a lot of their music. So if there are reference to things or callbacks to things or anything that is like storyline related, I'm not going to be able to pick up on it. I'm all the way back in Treasure, okay? So anything that happens in the meantime, anything that's referencing back to the other two parts of this Golden Hour set of releases, I'm not going to know about it. And I'm sorry, but this is my first comeback. And if you think I'm going to be able to contain myself, you're wrong, okay? So that being said, let's listen to Masterpiece. I'm so scared of this one. At least we get it out of the way, right? I say like the other songs won't also come for me. It's fine. Well, that's an interesting example. With the harmonies? No, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for this beat. I wasn't ready for the harmonies. I wasn't ready for the lyrics. I knew the lyrics were going to come for me because, again, we listened to Lemon Drop and I was like, I don't feel like I need to interpret these lyrics, nor can I interpret these lyrics without getting into some territory that YouTube may or may not like me to be getting into. So I knew that we were going to be dealing with some things. I need some to not like immediately come for me though. Thank you. It's like almost like the like screech sound. This like whining sound. Good forward sound. No, okay? I already talked about in Lemon Drop about you having that like vocal fry whine sound to your voice. No, stop. We gotta, okay, first off, this funky beat to it, great. All the little like synth things, distracting. Lyrics, I really feel like I can't, okay? Look, as someone who likes to try and keep at least a PG-13 on my channel, Patreon's a little bit different, and is also asexual, I feel like I can't, all right? But the lyrics are something. The vocal little flip up that we got there from Jungho, I also love that we got like this very like forward sounding, like wide sound. It was almost like a rock kind of placement in his voice, which was also really nice. We're going back for Yeosang vocals because of course we are. And let's hear Yuno's vocal too. The vibrato on it too. A little walk down in the like bass. I love how soft his voice is for this. Jungho softens his voice too. Boy, first off, I like the production like muted down a little bit. Lyrics though, sir, look, we had some discussion about the Lemon Drop vocals in some of the comments and maybe I'm like, some interesting lyrics that we're just putting out there. What am I supposed to do with these lyrics? What am I supposed to do with them? I feel like I'm blushing. Sir, look, you've already been biased line material since day one because leaders, okay? I understand that I have a type. Don't be like this. Don't be like this. There's a nice, fun bounce to your voice, though, and I like that we pulled back some of the production, right? A little bit bassier, but cease and desist. With the layered vocals, too. Going into Leon vocals a lot for you to throw me. Oh god. Sorry. It was just like, you went into an Uyung vocal, I'm like, oh, nice that we got the Uyung vocal that sound, and then my brain went, who have we heard? Mingi. My brain was like, hang on a second, there's someone we haven't heard yet. And usually I'm like, Yo Sung, Uyung, and I'm like, no, we've gotten those vocals. And I'm like, Mingi's the one we haven't heard. And I panicked just for a second, because if it takes this long for him to come into a song, I'm like, oh god, what is he cooking up that he needed to let the others handle this song? I'm nervous. Okay. Funky though, groove to the song is also really fun. And I like it, especially going into what Lemon Drop was and like the lyrics of the song. I just like that it's like a fun, there's like lots of like synth things going on, right? It has this kind of like fun, laid back, let's not worry about the world or anything else that's going on or what other people think or whatever. Like, this isn't about them. We're in our own little world and we can just like let ourselves be who we are and not worry about anything else. And again, in what seems to be like a particular situation, but hey, we're all adults here. We should be adults here, okay? I said it in my Lemon Drop reaction too. If you're not understanding what these lyrics are about, you're too young to be here. Go and spend some time outside, get a snack, right? Go live your life, because it just, trust me, shouldn't be here. I'm gonna let Uyung sing again though. Take it all, honey. Take it, can be all morning. Baby, lift it up and down, come what you need for me. Make it a masterpiece, yeah. $1 million rings, shiny pieces ain't my thing, though. Cause you realize. And you should not give me a low range. Okay, I love all the layered vocals that are coming into. Love that we got a lower range from Yuno anyway. Ugh. Beautiful vibrato. No, because I was just having a moment where I'm like, I need y'all to stop calling me babe. All right. Do I know that it's directed at me specifically? No. But I know if they were on stage performing it, they would definitely be saying that with like eye contact, especially Mingi. All right. I've only seen random clips and I know what they're like. I don't trust it. Do not say it's not cold here. Don't. No. I need a second. I need a second before we get to Mingi's part. I think that it's cute though, that they're like, it's not about, like I was saying, it's not about like luxury or shiny rings. They're talking about that, or like this and that are seen as these like beautiful things, right? It's about just like you yourself as yourself are a masterpiece. That's a cute sentiment. I don't know why you needed to put it in a song that is behaving like this. You could have just said something sweet, but here we are. Is this what they're like? Like, just honest question, because I'm so far back in their discography and I would like a more of a warning. I knew a little bit because we watched the guide and I know that demon line is a thing. And I remember some of the killing voice of them coming for me and there was some barking and growling involved. So I understood to some extent. I wasn't quite ready. Where's the switch? At what point do I need to like really worry for my safety? Just wondering if you could just give me like a ballpark. Not that they haven't on occasion in the earlier music had their moments. I just would like a little bit of a range of where I might need to start worrying, because I'm worried. All right, no, go ahead. The laid back delivery from Uyung too was nice. All the vocals in the back are fun. Sorry for the perfectly timed jump cut, but my power went out because apparently me jokingly saying I couldn't finish this album was taken for truth by the gods, but I have made the necessary offerings and we were back the next day, so don't mind the continuity. But yeah, if you're wondering why it's taken me so long to get to this album, it's because my power keeps going out. I couldn't tell you either. Okay, I don't know. But here we are. We're gonna listen to Mingi's verse again, and hopefully I will be able to remember what it is I wanted to say. But who knows, it may be lost to the wind now. I love a little walk down the guitar. Like, whoa. Yeah, well, no, we're just gonna go through this like a little bit. He doesn't need to whisper at me. He doesn't need to have this drawn out lazy delivery. The like vocal fry doesn't need to be happening, and he most definitely doesn't have to say it's not cold here, come on baby. Like that doesn't need to be a verse. You warm me up, also not necessary, right? That's not necessary lyrics. I feel like hot, oh god, it's also not necessary. Right, there's a lot that's happening, right? It's just like we're putting a lot into these lyrics that I feel that don't need to happen. I can't believe I took like literally like a 24-hour break, and even coming back and listening to it again, I can feel myself blushing. I have a problem with Mingi. I think anyone who watched my Killing Voice, which was my first ATEEZ reaction, knows, because it was like he was there for a second, and not even. And I was like, who's that? And how do I make him a bias? Like, what's the process for that? No, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever. Yeah, I think that we should listen to it again to make sure that we get like the flow of the song, and not for any personal reasons of me wanting to dwell here. It's fine. The little register too. They pulled all the production too. They knew what they were doing. Ooh, the ad-libs. Oh, I love the harmonies, but the yeah. No, okay, now I love that we're getting a bunch of that higher range too, and it's very like pingy, it's very forward in like the nasal cavity, and I think that it's so nice getting a bunch of their different voices in that register, like how they place the sound and how their voices adapt to it. And again, in contrast, as much as I'm like, look, do we need the lower range from Mingi? Again, is it necessary? Maybe not, but appreciated, yes. Same with like Hunjung's voice, right? Getting some of those lower ranges, or I don't know, a very different tone to their voices in comparison to what we're getting in this chorus. It's a much higher. It's like pulling up that chest voice into a mix. It's very like in their nasal cavity, right? It's almost this like wide sounds too, because you're getting that like ass, like a really gross sound on its own, but like it works in the song to have that pinginess to it, to cut through a bunch of this production and to have the contrast with their voices. So it just works really well. And I just really like hearing the different tones, like the way that like Dogo hits that register is very different than the way that like Yosang does, right? Because they have like very different like natural tones and like ranges to their voices. So it's really interesting to see them like doing like a similar technique but having a very different tone to their voice. A little bit of ad-libs too. No. Or just layered vocals. Interesting. Yeah, interesting song, especially after Lemon Drop. Again, I feel like I don't need to dig into the lyrics a whole bunch, and if I do, maybe you need to like Maybe you shouldn't be here. But super fun song though. Like it grooves. I love all the guitar work in it and those like walk downs that we got. I love that it was just like a really fun delivery too. Like I was saying, getting this is very like pingy vocal delivery from a bunch of them in the vocals, and then getting more of these like rap cadences, but in a very different kind of like vocal fry tone as well. So just like really playing around with the characters of the voice, which I really like seeing. And again, there's like a huge gap for me in between this and where I'm at going through their discography, like chronological. So I don't have a good gauge of the transitioning, their performances and all of that. But given what they were doing like 6 years ago, which again, not a great marker in comparison, but very different performance from them. And I really like seeing that, right? Like that they've progressed that much that they can just play around a lot with their voices and the like character and tone that they're going for. Fun song, does make me feel like flustered though. Like I can feel myself blushing. I guess effective if that's what they were going for. It feels like that's what they're going for. Now this house ain't a home. Not sure what that means, but we've got like a darker concept for the photos, so that makes me nervous. The other what the other one was supposed to be more chill in the photos. What does this mean? Okay, sorry, I just got distracted looking at them for a second. Let's do this song. Ooh, definitely a darker sound so far. Okay, I do appreciate that you were doing a gentle fix on before we get into this. Also think it's interesting that I said in Masterpiece that I'm like, oh god, we have to wait a long time to get to a Mingy first. I'm like, what's happening? What is he gonna do? And I had apparently a good reason to be scared. But him being like early on in this song, I think it's really interesting to have this like darker sound with all these synths coming in, but a bit of an uplifting lilt to it too, like this strange mixture of like that darker tone, but also hopefulness, which is interesting, and a lot of post on their voice. I think that Seunghwa in this album has had some really interesting vocal tones from him. And again, I have a huge gap between early days ATEEZ and then this comeback to see like his progression. And I've checked out at least one cover that's more recent from him, but I think that it's really interesting to see him going into a much like darker tone delivery, especially since he has a little bit of a lighter like breathy tone to him. I'm just fascinated, as even also has like a breathier tone, so getting all this post on it and a bit of like a darker like placement, you could almost hear like the doming that he's doing with the resonance, which I think is really interesting. And I don't know how much of that's like the post on it and how much of that is like him changing the way that he's singing. Do we have a behind the scenes that includes recording? Because I would love to see that. I know that there's one for the music video and stuff, but I'd love to see some of them recording. Ooh, lyrics, right? Like I loved the like mothers that turn sons into fathers, right? Like, that's one of the lyrics. Obviously a little bit tentative with lyric stuff because lyric video, I don't know how accurate it is, and like an exact translation is not really possible, but like the noisily judged, right? Like on the outside, but it isn't like a reflection of what's going on inside. Even though feeling small, we have that a couple of times. We talked about feeling small and then carrying complaints in my breath, right? Like you're holding back what you're actually feeling because on the outside everything has to look fine, but someone defines my beliefs and values. That's a really interesting line of, I think of a couple of ways. Like one could be the way that people judge you externally, right? So people are like deciding what your values are, what your beliefs are, and you're like, I never said that, right? Like people are like, oh, obviously he's saying this or doing this, or it feels this way about this, and he's like, I never said any of that, right? I think that happens so much with anyone who's in the public eye, where people are like, oh, obviously they do care about this, or they don't care about that, or they must be like this kind of a person. And it's not based on anything that they've actually said to confirm that. It's just like people deciding that's who they must be based on like what they interpret on them, right? Putting those values and beliefs onto them, even though that's not who they are. Or it could also be external pressures to be a certain way, especially with their career, especially with being public figures in South Korea. There's a certain expectation of who they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to behave. And I think that could also be like someone defining that for me of, oh, you have to be this, this, and this because you're a public figure, right? You have to be an idol. You have to be someone who can be looked up to. You have to behave in a way that is going to have a good influence on people. Okay, but you're also a person, right? They're also like just people. And just because like society has decided, oh, this and this are okay and this aren't, doesn't mean that they're like objectively right or wrong, right? There were lots of things throughout history where people are like, yeah, that's totally fine. And we look at them now and we're like, ooh, no, it wasn't. And vice versa, right? So I think it's interesting to have that line in here, especially talking about covering your eyes, right? Wanting to kind of be blind to certain things too, like kind of block out things and saying this house ain't a home, like this house isn't a home, feeling like just this is just like a building now, right? There's a difference between a location and a home, right? You can be in a place and not feel at home in it, because home is like where you feel relaxed and safe and can be yourself. Home is where you can like fully just be who you are and not have to worry about being judged or having to defend yourself, right? The whole world is dizzy to me. There's too much noise, there's too much commotion, there's too many people having like opinions and weighing in on things. Interesting lines. Love the drums. Yeah, and you escape, fully embrace us. Ooh, sorry. I know I'm interrupting, but the fully embrace us, right? Like I was saying, to a place where we can be like embraced, right? Like I was saying, like a home where you can feel comforted and protected and be yourself. And even tear the curtain makes me think of being on stage, right? Like you say, like a curtain call or a curtain, like a barrier between you and something else. But I think specifically like a stage of let's tear down this being like a performance. I'm tired of it being a performance. I just want to be myself and I want to be embraced for that. And that's where home is, right? Fascinating already. I feel like I'm going to love this song. Look, as much as I love the other songs, right? Lemon Drop and Masterpiece, because they bop and they're fun and they do make me question myself. But when you get lyrics like this, that's how you pull me in. And with this drum beat, absolutely. I love the softer delivery from him too. Ooh, I love all the childhood imagery too. And like, I feel like some of this, obviously I was feeling a little bit from them as like public figures and all that with like Mingy's verse, but I think it could also just be like growing up, right? When you're a kid, you're just so completely yourself. You don't have the, I don't know, the understanding of like society and like the empathy for other people to care what they think. Like, I think that's a huge part of it is like, you're not thinking about what other people are thinking or feeling. So you don't change the way that you're acting or the way that you're behaving or how you talk, right? You're just so purely yourself. And that doesn't mean that learning empathy isn't a good thing. Obviously it is, but it does mean that you suddenly spend a lot of like brain power and energy on thinking about like, how am I going to make someone else feel? And sometimes that's with consideration of not wanting to hurt someone, but a lot of the time I think we get into our heads and we're like, oh God, I have to like behave a certain way to make this person like me or make them think that I'm a good person or whatever, make them have a certain perception of me. And I think some of this is like growing pains kind of thing, right? I think a lot of this is summary, obviously, because of when it came out, but also because of the vibes of the songs coming out and the pictures that we got. But it's also like, summertime used to be very different, right? Summertime used to be like very much this like fun, exciting time when we were a kid and like carefree and you could do whatever you want. Like he's talking about going to the playground and like slides, like old habits and going back to these places where you used to find comfort, right? Like a slide is cozier than a bed, right? Like when was the last time you were like, oh, the way for me to get out like my worries or get out of my head is to go out and play, right? As an adult. But as a kid, absolutely. Yeah, the number of times I was upset and I like went running around in my backyard playing pretend and escaping into those worlds was a lot. I used to do that all the time. Sometimes I would just went outside and I just sat. I had a swing set. I would just sit on my swing, and that's where I like got all my like good brooding done and like dealing with all the kind of anxiety and things that I had when I need to like recharge, get away from people. And now would my default be going to like my bed or like curling up somewhere or whatever? Probably. So it's interesting to have this comparison again with childhood and like what it means to grow up and you can remember what it was like to be a kid, but you can't put yourself in that mindset anymore. That's what I'm getting. Yeah, like not knowing the value of, you didn't understand what you had when you had it, and now you can only see it from like retrospect. You can only look back at it, but you can't go back there. Really fascinating imagery. Again, like a house also being put to just like comfort and not having any worries, right? When you were a kid, what were you really worried about? When snack time was, whether or not you could play with your toys. And it's much different when you're an adult, right? And I miss the house that is just a house, right? I miss when this was like a magical place, right? Going back to those places of comfort, going back to those things that used to be very like carefree. And now it's like, I can't escape back into those places anymore, right? I can't go back to that mindset of like when I was a kid, when I was younger. So interesting already. I love his soft delivery too. It's like synth that sounds like strings. It's beautiful. Nostalgic. Ooh, I love like the drum fill there, but I love that we get taller, but we feel smaller. And that's like I was saying, like growing up, where you might grow up, you might become an adult, and you feel smaller because now you know what the world is in a lot of ways, right? Like you understand what the world is, you understand other people, and for better or for worse, there's a lot more weight that comes with being an adult, right? Of just like knowing about what's going on in the world, where it's like when you were a kid, again, what did you have to worry about? There's some crazy things that were going on in the world when I was a kid, and I just was like blissfully unaware because I was like, whatever. And now I'm like, oh God, I know too much. Like now I'm like, I'm too aware of what's going on in the world, and I just need to go for walks and relax and disconnect, which I feel like we're all getting to that point, right? So it's again like the now this house ain't a home, and then the no, this house ain't home. I love the like now and no switching in that one. And again, like having this distorted lower vocal from them, I think is also really symbolic of what they're talking about, of like feeling lower and more somber in now that you've grown up and you can see the world for what it is, or like people for what they are, or like the world is so like loud and noisy to you now because you're so aware of all of the things that are going on. And there's so many more things for you to be worried about, right? Like so many different things that you have up in the air and you're trying to like juggle and figure out. And then having all this distortion of I can't even figure out who I am anymore. I think that's so many people, so many of us, right? We're like, I don't even know where I can feel comfort, right? Where I can feel protected and relaxed, because even when you have a quiet moment, your brain is loud. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe I'm putting my own thoughts into it. Okay. Some of us have panic disorders. Okay. But again, the moment that we're left by ourselves, how many of us get caught up in all the anxious thoughts and things that are like swirling around in our brains that we've been like able to ignore because we've been busy, right? So I think that it's just so fascinating to have that like distortion on the vocal, like a less pure vocal when they're talking about like how they feel right now, as opposed to Hundung's part where he was like a very clear vocal, but it was like nostalgic. It was looking in the past, it was remembering, and that's so clear. And then in retrospect to what they feel now is like through this like distortion, different placement in their voices. Really having fun playing with the character of their voices in this album, which is fun. I love all the layered vocals in the back. So many beautiful layered vocals on this album. Wait, hang on, why did Dongho's verse make me tear up? Partly the growing up like hating myself. That got me because I'm like, how dare you? But I think also just the I must find the sea of rest, right? Like I was saying, like even when you feel like you're resting, you're not, because your brain is going a mile a minute. You're thinking of all these things, all these different noise is happening, right? Going back to Mingy's verse of the whole world makes me dizzy because it doesn't matter where I go, I feel off balance. I feel like there's just too many things happening and I can't find my footing. And talking about sea of rest in contrast to that, going into some of the pirate imagery with them, I also think of Wave, which was about like just relaxing, right? Letting the tide take you where it's going to take you, just riding that wave and seeing what happens. And now it's, oh God, I wish I could find that. Like, I wish I could find a place where I could just stop and rest and just let it be what it's going to be. And instead, I feel myself like, again, like stuck in this like off balance place. I teared up a bit. It's fine. I'm just going to take a drink of water and then we can continue because I just need a second to recover before I get like too emotional. Okay. The way he just opens his voice here is beautiful. Dang it, why is this song making me emotional? I'm fine. I'm not too emotionally invested. I think Ouyang's voice was beautiful there. He had a great tone to his voice. But I think it's, like I was saying, like the anxiety, right? It was talking about, you know, in those quiet moments, they're not actually quiet because other things come in, right? Like when night comes, the approaching anxiety is quite hard to endure, right? Like the moment that you're alone with your thoughts, the moments that you're supposed to be resting, right? At night, when you're supposed to be resting and going to bed and like leaving things as they are, right? Like I was saying with Wave, where it was like, hey, I'm just gonna leave things and whatever happens, happens. And now when you get to that place, it's like, there's too much noise, there's too much anxiety. I'm still worrying about things. I'm still trying to like control because everything is so like chaotic and off balance. And then talking about like tearing up, I'm like, me too. Apparently a sudden downpour. Ugh, why you gotta get to me? Okay, I'm an adult. I know it's like part of what the song is about, but it's, I don't know, maybe a little too close to home. Again, some of us have anxiety and panic disorders. I know what it means to have your brain be very loud, especially when you're trying to relax and you're trying to rest. And I think that's part of why a lot of us get to this breaking point or this like exhaustion, right? Because even when you get to a point where you're supposed to be resting, you're not. You're still like, it just gives you space to think about all the things that you like haven't worked out and haven't figured out enough that you can leave them be, right? I wasn't expecting this song to get me, but here we are. The like meandering cadence. Oh, the enduring, like one day, once more, just one day at a time. And I love the meandering cadence that he has of just it has this feeling of someone just continuing to walk forward, right? I love the hope of like, you don't know what's around the bend. You keep moving. A little grit to his voice there. Listen to all the vocals. Held note. Oh, even the like drums being part of it, right? It's very almost like marching drums, right? It's like just continuing forward because what's the other option, right? Like you're like, what's around the bend? Like you keep moving because there's the hope that you're going to get to a better place, right? You're going to get to that place where you can relax, where it does feel like a home, where you do feel like you're protected and comfortable and can truly be who you are. I love all of the layered vocals in this. It was so beautiful, like just so many layered things, and it's just very atmospheric, all the different like synths and sounds that were in the production. Like it felt very much like something that you would listen to in like sad boy hours at night, right? Where you're thinking through everything and you're reminiscing about things and like when it used to be easier, or it used to be at least not as chaotic as it is now, and like trying to go back to that place, right? Like talking about going back to the playground and all of that, and being like, hey, if I could just go back to this house where I used to feel relaxed in myself and protected and like the world wasn't chaotic, maybe I'll feel that way again. Like maybe I can go back to where I was, and it's just a house, right? Like it's just a place now, and I have all these memories with it, but it's not a home. I don't feel the same way anymore. I can't go back to the way that I used to feel. So it's okay, I have to hope for what's next, right? What's the future of like when I get to that place again. Such a beautiful song. I wasn't expecting to tear up, but here we are, just putting me on like a whole emotional roller coaster, because the first two songs would not have prepped me for what this song was going to be. Y'all better give me something upbeat going into the end of this, because I can't take you just like playing with my emotions like this, like a seesaw, okay? Castle, that's a location, right? That's a place. And we just had this house ate a home. So are you gonna bring it full circle and we're gonna find some comfort maybe? Please, I need a little bit of comfort. Ooh, like cassette?
복잡한 이 세상 속에 지쳐버린 눈동자를 볼 때면 마음이 무너져가 yeah. 끝이 없는 생각 속에 소란스러운 표정들을 볼 때면 숨이 가빠져가 oh yeah. 모든 걸 다 내려놔 Take my hand just you and me 떠나자 그곳으로 우리만의 손으로.
I know I'm interrupting right before the drop, but okay, first off, whenever they say take my hand, I go like right back to what? Is it Pirate King or Treasure? One of their debut songs. The problem with them having two is I'm like, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but they have lyrics but like take my hand and come on this journey with me. So every time they mention it in other songs, my brain goes like right back to that, which I think is really interesting too, to have something that is a callback to the beginning, like I was saying, a reminiscing of when times felt less complicated, and now we're having this. I think that this is a perfect progression from the previous song, because they're talking about having noisy like expressions and like endless thoughts and like weary eyes in a complicated world, right? So talking about, I think it's also interesting to have Wooyoung weary eyes and he had blurry eyes in the previous one, right? So it's almost like after crying when your eyes are tired. That's what I'm thinking of. So I think it's interesting having him like carry that kind of motif forward. Gorgeous vocals from them. I love all the synths on this. I'm just gonna listen to it from the beginning again. Yuno's tone on this, gorgeous, breathtaking. Unfair how beautiful his voice is. I have the nostalgia of like a cassette tape or like a videotape too. Yeah, I can finally catch my breath. Okay, I wasn't ready for you to yeah at me in that deep tone, but like this, let's leave that place, that darker place behind, or like the previous place, right? Talking about like a home becoming a house, right? Like in a more symbolic way of a place that used to feel comforting and doesn't anymore, right? A place that used to feel safe and doesn't. And now it's just a place you keep going back because you're hoping that you're going to get back to that moment, right? Where you were like safe and happy and comfortable and could be yourself. And you can't find it anymore. It's like, hey, leave that now. You've gone back, you've reminisced. It's time to leave it. Let's go together to like wherever this new place is, where we can find that joy again. We can find that fulfillment. We can find that way of being ourselves. We're like embraced for who we are and we can feel comforted, right? Let's go together to like where our castle is, right? Like where that place is going to be seen as like this castle, which is like whimsical, and there's a certain like magic to that, or again, like childish wonder to it, which I think is really fun as well. Vocal tone though, like the little like vibrato he puts on his voice, Gorgeous.
거울 다 내려놔. Take my hand, just you and me. 떠나 작은 곳으로 우리만의 섬으로. Yeah. Running out, to a place unknown. Running out, far from the noise. Running, running out. Running, running to the point. Running out, beyond their sight. Running out to the moonlight. Running, running out. Running, running to the night.
Ooh, see, I love that too, of like running out in contrast again to like being stagnant, right? Stuck in this place where you're like, hey, if I just stay in this place that used to be a home, I'll get to a point where I feel comforted. And instead it's actually you need to escape from, which is something that I've talked about before. I think specifically in Illusion, where Mingi actually, he talks about like feeling trapped in this place, right? And like going around in circles, and that place, like it should feel comforting because it's known and you are contained in this place, but because of that like containment, you feel like you can't escape, right? Like you're trapped in it, and you know that it's an illusion, right? Like you, same thing with going back to a place that used to feel comforting and now you just have the memories, right? And it's not actually how you feel. It's like you're tricking yourself by being like, oh, if I felt this way before, I'll just, the old habits are hard to break, of hey, I'll just keep doing the same things, I'll just keep living my life the same way, and I'll go back to when it was good. That's not how it works, right? We all grow up, we all change, we all progress in our lives, and as someone who loves habit, I have to admit begrudgingly that you have to change things in your life, and you have to have your life grow with the way that you're growing as a person. The more that you learn, the more that you change, the more that what you're interested in or what you're going after, right? Whatever your like goals are shift over time, and you have to adapt to that. And I think that it's interesting for them to talk about running forward, moving forward. It's not just like going one day at a time anymore. It's take my hand, let's go together, and we'll be each other's comfort while we figure this out. Also, voices. All right, gorgeous vocals from everybody.
My hand, just you and me. 떠나 작은 곳으로 우리만의 섬으로. Yeah. Running out, to a place unknown.
I like the soft voices too. Gentle. Gorgeous harmonies again.
늦지막히 자지 않은 불안감 가시가 박히듯 머릿속에서 빠지질 않아 혼자서 감당하는 게 이제는 벅찬가 봐 소용돌이 치며 불이란 벽 속에 숨어 난 너의 하루를 다 캐묻지 않아도 너의 두려움 아픔을 닦고 나지 않아도 너의 무너짐을 굳이 해명하지 말아줘 걱정 마 이 노래는 오직 너만으로는 내 피난처.
Dang it, why are you making me emotional? Y'all started out with Lemon Drop and Masterpiece, and me being like, hold on, what are we doing? All right, I wasn't prepared. Y'all like bought me a drink first before you went a little bit too flirtatious with me. And now y'all making me an emotional wreck? This is what it's like, isn't it? It just gets worse. Because I was full on in tears just watching like the guide. I barely knew them. And now y'all are just throwing this duality at me like it's fine. Okay, let's go through some lyrics, okay? Let's just go through some lyrics before I become too much of an emotional wreck again. I'm fine. Again, like putting in like anxiety. I think it's interesting having Mingi talk about that too, because I know that he was gone for a bit related to that. Again, can empathize with that, and talking about can't escape from my mind. I was talking before about feeling trapped. It's always, and talk about like having a loud mind, right? Like it's not just like the world is noisy. It's like even when you get those moments of quiet, your brain is noisy, and it can feel very overwhelming, which she talks about, to have your brain be this place that you can't get out of, right? Because we're all stuck here, right? So when you feel trapped in your own mind, that's where things become difficult, right? Like it has to be a place that like you find comfort in. And I think him saying seems like handling it alone is overwhelming now, right? Like at a point I used to be able to, I'll just do it on my own, but you do the same thing over and over again, it becomes tiring, right? Everyone gets worn out after a while. And if you're doing something on your own for so long, eventually you need to ask for help, right? I'm talking about, hey, take my hand, we'll go together. Is like accepting that I don't know how to do this by myself, right? And I think that's difficult for everybody. Anyone who has had struggles with their own thoughts in their own brain, at a certain point, you realize that you need help. You need somebody who can be that guiding hand for you, or at least like a comfort for you while you're going through things. And like a hide and like a swirling blanket, right? Again, going back to the staying in bed, right? And like finding comfort and like not being able to get out. But also I think of a blanket could also be that warmth or that comfort, right? Like wanting to find that, and that's not on your own, right? Like it's blanket could be symbolic of like people and support systems and all of that as well, and like a wall of comfort, like blocking out that noise for you, right? Like I can see it as like both sides, and I think that is also leans into lyricism, right? Of that it could both be like feeling like you're hiding away from the world, but also could be that someone is like, hey, you need a break from the world. You need a break from everything that's going on. Let me be that like wall of comfort for you, right? Where like I can block out some of what's going on. And I think that, again, any of us who have struggled with stuff going on in our heads, having someone who can just be that support system for you is like super, super important. Have a support person. If I have any advice for anybody, doesn't matter like exactly who it is, as long as they are like an actual support person for you. It's very helpful to have someone that you could just be like SOS and they're like, I got you. Hunjung's the reason I started crying, because they're just so sweet. I'm gonna get emotional, but I'm talking about, I don't need to know all the details. Like, you don't need to explain your breakdown as I cry. And he's telling me I don't have to explain. But like, him basically saying, I don't need to know the details, right? Like I was saying, you need that person where you can just say SOS and they like show up, right? It's him like saying a very similar thing here. I don't need the details. I don't need to know why you're upset. I don't need to know why you're struggling. Just tell me that you're struggling and let me be able to like be that comfort. I'm just gonna take a drink of water because he's gonna make me emotional and I am gonna listen through it again, but I need to get through this video without being a complete wreck. So he needs to stop being a sweetie pie after his behavior in Lemon Drop. No. Let's listen to Mingy's part again, because why not? I need to like ground myself, okay? I'm here to make a video, not to be my feelings. I can be my feelings later in the privacy of my own home. That descending melody too, like falling into it. I'm fine. It's almost like a siren in the production. Ooh, I hear the ad-lib. Also, no. You know, your voice is already too gorgeous. You're gonna make me emotional just because you're singing. But I love Wooyoung's tone on this. And maybe it's just because I'm like early on. Again, I don't have the full scope of like how they've transitioned in terms of like their voices. But his tone is gorgeous on this album. Is that just he's progressed a lot in his vocals since the beginning? Or is it just a line distribution thing? I don't know. But he sounds so good in this like lower tone. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's just like getting a lower tone from him that I'm just like, I do love a lower tone. I'd love a lower tone, darker tone. Sounds absolutely beautiful. Then like away from here, beautiful. There's no obligation to endure. It was like we were getting in Mingy's verse where it's like sometimes you need help. Like I'm saying like, hey, it's overwhelming to do this on my own now. You don't have to just be strong and stick it out, right? Like you don't just have to like chin up and continue forward. Like you're not weak for needing help. You're not weak for struggling with something. There's a lot of things going on in the world. And being an adult, oh my God, there's so many things. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm expected to know how to do this. And even my parents are like, no idea. Didn't deal with this when I was at your age. I'm like, oh, that's reassuring. Thank you. So there's so much going on that it's okay to need help. It's okay to just need a break too. And sometimes you need help taking a break because there's so much going on that you're like, I don't know how to continue to juggle all these things. And that's okay. There's no obligation to just keep going when obviously you're running out of steam. And the next line, not everything has a reason. And I think that's so interesting too. Like you don't need a reason, again going back to like Hunjung's verse of you don't need a reason to feel the way that you feel. You don't need a reason for it needing a break or needing help or being like, yeah, usually I know how to manage this part of my life, right? And I can't right now. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. And it's okay. I think I don't know, I've had that definitely where my friends or my family are just like, I can't do this, I need help with this. And I'm like, I got you. And I have people who've done that for me too. You don't need to give like a whole explanation. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're just tired. You've been keeping up the whole like being an adult thing for long enough and you're just like, I don't know how to cook another meal. Is that just me where I'm just like, I can't cook something, I can't do it. I've reached the limit. All right, chores, dishes, it's too much for me to handle. I can't do it. I'm out of bandwidth. I can't do it anymore. And being like, hey, you don't need a reason for all of that. You just reached a point where you don't have to keep just going forward and being strong and like enduring it and going forward. It's okay to need help sometimes. And they're gonna get me emotional because it's comforting. Ugh.
괜찮아 당연한 게 없듯 견뎌야 할 의문 없어 세상은 그저 돌아갈 뿐이야 모두 이유가 있진 않아 내게 당연한 건 하나 내 불행에서 지키는 것 우리 사귀듯 또 조여오는 세상을 피해서
Vocal. Oh, I don't want to interrupt, but like this line, how am I supposed to not be a teared up? Y'all warned me about Masterpiece and this comeback. Be careful, they're a little bit feral on this. That's what I got. No one warned me that I was going to be an absolute emotional wreck. How dare you? How dare you just throw me in? You knew, but this line from Jungho too, I don't know why, but look, Jungho just gives me the vibes of, he's not like a external affection kind of person, but I do get, he just notices and he's just gonna help out. I don't know if I'm completely right with that because I haven't done a ton of stuff that's personality based, but he gives me those vibes. So him singing this line and then having that higher note, I love how it just like fades. It just softens out. It's just so beautiful too. I should not feel this way about a group of men on the other side of the planet that have no idea I exist, but here we are. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
세상은 그저 돌아갈 뿐이야 모두 이유가 있진 않아 내게 당연한 건 하나 내 불행에서 지키는 것 우리 사귀듯 또 조여오는 세상을 피해서
Like escape too, and his voice like fades out. Oh. Dang it! I'm fine. I think ending on Fly High and he has like a higher note is very cute. I'm not too emotionally attached, don't worry about it. But talk about like cage, right? So cage, fly, bird, right? Good imagery, but also like being trapped. Talked about that in the lyrics. But like making a wish, let's hide here for a while is also like cute. Like again, like the world is loud and let's just run away to this castle and let ourselves like again link up with that childhood like whimsy and joy, right? Like they were talking about this house ain't a home, of wanting to go back to that point of childhood, like the nostalgia of that, but also this yearning for what it was like to have less worries when like you were a kid and be like, close your eyes and make a wish and we'll go to our castle and we'll just hide here for a while and you don't have to worry as you can dream and you don't have to worry as much. Beautiful song, like gorgeous vocals from all of them. I think that they're having so much fun with the character of their voice for so much of this album that getting a song like this that is leaning more into kind of like the tones of their voice that I'm more used to is like there's something like very genuine about how getting these like cleaner vocals and all the like beautiful harmonies that were there, like ad libs, but it feels very much like they're softly comforting you, right? And sometimes having that like softer delivery to their voices and something much closer to what I'm used to hearing from them in terms of like tone. And again, like having so much fun with the character, showing a bunch of different things in their voices earlier on in the album, but leaving that behind in this one to ensure that they were getting that genuine delivery to it. It's fine. I'm gonna have to have a moment with this song later so I can get all my emotions out, apparently, because I wasn't ready to be that emotionally wrecked, but here we are. We have an outro of some kind, Bridge the Edge of Reality. Now, I'm assuming this is a outro of some kind because it's a shorter track, but also bridges. I've talked before. I haven't gotten into storyline stuff for this that much because I've decided to leave it a bit at the door, TBD, on my opinions on how this relates to storyline stuff, just because I don't have any of the linking information. But I've definitely noticed bridges as a thing already in our storyline things, but also moving forward, that seems to be a lot of what the last few songs, couple songs anyway, have been about. How do you leave behind the old and move on to the new? Thinking back now through a bunch of the album, right, like even going back to Lemon Drop and Masterpiece is very much being focused on someone else, right, like an external thing and almost like an infatuation, right? Like you feel a lot of things about this person. If we're even, okay, talking about like desire or again, like having initial attraction to somebody, right? It's running after that initial emotion that you have about someone without actually digging deeper into what that is, right? If we're talking about desire, that's not necessarily like caring about someone or knowing someone, right? It feels a lot more surface level and being like, hey, let's not worry about anything. Let's not get into the details or the complications, right? Let's not focus on that. Let's just focus on like how we feel in this moment and like chasing after that, as opposed to what we're getting later on where it's, I feel like the emptiness of this house ain't a home, right? Of being like, I feel the emptiness of just constantly trying to chase after what makes me happy in the moment instead of like actually deconstructing all the things that I'm feeling and realizing that I'm in this place that doesn't bring me comfort or joy. Like deep down, it's just like chasing that like initial like quick fix of that like dopamine, right? As opposed to like actually digging into it. So now more that I think about it, I'm like, okay, maybe it does make sense you having the duality. I just don't appreciate how you blindsided me partway through the album. Okay. Anyway, let's see how we're gonna end off this album. Ooh. Like ambient noise? Like it feels like a drum. Like marching drum almost. Whoa, whoa, okay, whispers, but also we have an elevator sound? It almost sounds which we had in Lemon Drop. They were in the elevator. Which is again like traveling between locations. Sounds a little ominous, especially the whispers. Okay, well for the whispers, that sounded almost like a scream, but it's like a synth or like it's distorted in terms of vocal sample. It sounded like a lock was happening too, like a door was locking in some way. But we also had there's another sound where I was like, I feel like we've had that somewhere else. The breath? Had that like crescent, like going into wave? Oh, I don't like that. I don't like the like white noise before getting into this really like muted sound. I say as I go back to hear it again. I just don't want to mess up the flow. What are they whispering at me? Ooh, we like launched into that beat. There's so many different things happening in this, but okay, throw it back is again, there's been some nostalgia in this album, but it could also be a bridge, makes you feel like we're going from this point to another point, and this is the end of the album. So I'm assuming that this is also hinting at what the next thing is gonna be, which we have in your fantasy, right? There's some stuff happening. So maybe it's connected to what we're gonna get in that? I feel like we're going into a holidays of some kind as well because we had the boots at the end of Lemon Drop. I said I wasn't gonna get too much in the storyline, but here I am. Invested. I knew the buzzing. Almost when you have a radio and the dial isn't to like a specific channel and you get that buzzing sound. That's what makes me think too. Which, again, we've had radios. Interesting. And like unnerving. Like there's a bunch of different sounds in it that are unnerving. The whispering on the different mixing. This almost scream or like yell that was also maybe a synth, but maybe a vocal sample that was like super distorted. This like robotic voice repeating. It's siren noises, right? There's a bunch of different things within the sonic mix that are jarring in a lot of ways. makes me curious about what we're going to get. Maybe some of that is that we're getting, I know because I speak from the future, I know that in the like repackaging in your fantasy, we're getting solos. So it might just be like a mixture of things as like a hint at the mixture of sounds that are going to be part of that. Or it could be other things that I will probably not get answers for until there's another album, which is one of the issues of being at current things, is that I'm so invested in storyline things that I have to accept that I probably will not get answers until the next thing happens. Interesting. It gives me like thinking face because I'm just like, I feel like there's so many little things in this that I could probably pull out, but I won't know it until retrospect, whether or not any of it is worth noting. Definitely a bit of a journey for me to even get to a point where I've listened to this album, let alone recording it, and then the emotional journey of this album as well. But yeah, I feel like it is, perhaps if I was going to put a story to just like the album on its own, and again with the caveat that I haven't listened to the Golden Hour other parts and I have a lot of years of stuff to catch up on in terms of storyline, so I'm not going to have all the details, but in isolation it feels like the album is about starting with this kind of finding external reason for having joy or fulfillment, or again chasing that quick dopamine to make yourself feel better and distract yourself from everything that's going on internally until like you can't anymore. Going back to the same things isn't filling that void anymore. Even going with lemon drop, right? Lemon drop is a drink, so you can go into a darker place for that, but using something to cope or finding that kind of buzz with something external as opposed to like actually being in a place where you can find that kind of like happiness or that ability to relax or whatever. And then getting into this house at a home of realizing that just going back to the same things over and over again, the same habits that you used to have that would help you with coping with how you're feeling isn't working anymore, and you have to just do the work of figuring out how to deal with things like anxieties and internal monologues and whatever might be going on in your life. You have to accept that you have to make some changes in order to actually get to a point where you can find happiness. And sometimes that means you need help, right? Like sometimes that means you need someone to help you along the way. And that kind of brings us into the end of the album of with Castle, of sometimes you need that helping hand, and it's not because you need like a reason or you need to have a whole excuse for like why you're feeling or why you're in this predicament. You just need someone who can be there to help and support you, and sometimes you just need a break, and that's okay too, right? It's not like we didn't get to the end of this album, it was like, oh, and you fixed everything and you can now move on. It's okay, you need a break obviously, and you need to just have a place where you feel safe and where you can let yourself dream and you can let yourself like think about what is the next step, and let me be that for you, right? Let us go to our castle where you can have those dreams and aspirations and you can think about what the next thing is for you. And you don't have to have it figured out all at once, and you don't need to have reasoning for a bunch of things, right? You just need the space to be able to do that and the break to be able to do that. So many emotions for this first comeback, what lot for them to throw at me. And I would like to know if this is just what it's like, because I don't know if I'm prepped for that. Maybe I should have continued chronological because I feel like I was not prepared properly given where I'm at in their discography to then get to this point. But loved all the songs. I think, what is my favorite? I don't know, I feel like this House Ain't a Home might be my favorite just from like the lyrical content. But the vocals in Castle, I don't know, I'll have to sit with it. Oh darn, I'll have to listen to it a bunch of times. But I hope you enjoyed listening to that along with me. You can click this place to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post an ATEEZ reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.